Hello, I am Divina De Campo. Tune in to Rainbow Conversations with Richard Dunbar.
Amazing. How do people? Welcome to episode 4 of Rainbow Conversations with me, Richard Dunbar. Later on in this episode, in the Rainbow Spotlight, we have Ezra and May from the Bradford 2025 team explaining why Bradford District is bidding to be UK City of Culture and why it really is Bradford's time. Today's conversation is with someone who is rather special in the world of drag and the wider queer world, actually. This person is a dancer, a singer, a seamstress, an activist, and some would even go so far as to say an icon of the queer world. Everyone, please give a warm virtual welcome to the real Queen of the North, the one, the only, Divina De Campo.
Hiya.
I'm very northern as well.
Yeah, Brighouse, born and bred. Brighouse!
Divina, how are you doing?
Really good. I mean, if I'm completely honest, I'm slightly hungover today. I will be honest about that. So if I sound a bit lower than usual, that's why. But otherwise, yeah, I'm great.
So why are you hungover? Is there any special occasion?
Oh, it was opening night of Chicago in Bradford. And so the Alhambra is the first place that I saw an opera, a musical. And it was the first place that I went backstage and met the cast. And, you know, so it's, and the first place I saw a ballet as well. So to then be on the stage of, you know, that theatre where that's been the first time that you've seen any of those things that was really special for me last night. And then I'm heading off to Corby to be in Panto, which I'm allowed to talk about because this won't be going out until then.
So tell us about the Panto then. Who you're playing?
I am the Maleficent character in Sleeping Beauty, so I'm Caraboss. I will Caraboss in the heart of town. Yeah, so the evil, wicked fairy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Any comparisons with real life Divina there?
No, I am just sunshine and loveliness. How dare you?
Cheeky Northern and I get out of it. So, right. Cool. All right. So, over the past couple of years, obviously, you've been thrust into the public spotlight, and we'll get into that shortly. But how have you sort of coped with that? You know, being from, you know, obviously you're well known in queer circles, but from being known sort of nationally and actually internationally. So how have you coped with that?
I sort of feel like everything that I've done has just kept kind of training me for bits and pieces. So doing promotion on Canal Street gives you the skills to just tap to anybody as if we've known each other forever, you know, because you're like, oh, hi, blah, 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 you know. And also just working in that environment on Canal Street, you know, if you're a drag queen on the street, it can take, you know, it's a 5-minute walk maximum from the top of the street to the bottom. But because you know everybody, people are like, hi. So you get used to, and you don't necessarily know all of the people who are asking to say hello to you. So you get used to taking time with people, you know, and giving them some of your time, just going from one place to another. And then, you know, I'd done The Voice and All Together Now, and those both gave me a little taste of what it would be like to have a bit more, to be a bit more known. And so those were just kind of little training grounds to get me ready for Drag Race, really, and to have a bigger audience, bigger platform.
And I think what comes across with you compared to, let's say, some
other queens.
Oh my goodness.
No,
Oh my
I know,
goodness.
what's he gonna say? So, but what really comes across, and maybe this is something typical of many Northerners, is you do seem really open to people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're genuinely nice. You're not a bitch, basically.
No, I think there's a thing when you like first start drag, everybody thinks you have to be like, you know, like that mean, cutting nastiness. And especially when I started drag, you know, like a million years ago, that was the thing. That's what drag queens did. They were mean. They were horrible, actually. And it, you know, it wasn't like light ribbing, or it was just mean. And I sort of looked at that in the first couple of years of me doing drag, and I thought, actually, I don't want that. It doesn't make people feel welcome or set their night up, you know, to have a good time. It just makes them feel bad.
Yeah.
So I you know, it's that thing about with your parents, you always rebel, and that's what I did. You know, as in drag, I was like, actually, I just want people to have a nice time.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's my job, is to help people to have a really good time when they're out. So, you know, while I'm online or I'm in situations like this, I'll talk about politics, I'll talk about religion, I'll talk about all the things you're not supposed to talk about. And then when you're at a show, unless the show is about those things, I sort of feel like my job is actually for us all to have a great time. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sing, you know, songs about filth and stupid things about the news, and we're going to have a good time. And so I think some of that approachability has come from looking at how other drag queens were working and thinking, no, I don't want to be that. I want to be something else.
Yeah. So a rebel with a cause, clearly. So and so that journey into drag, and you growing up in, you know, Milltown, the Brick House, you know, all that sort of working class influences around you. How did your sort of life growing up influence your journey into drag, or did it at all?
I mean, I was always dressing up in dresses. We had a dressing up box. I mean, you know, I'm a child of the 80s. Everybody had a dressing up box. It was one of the things that you did. And I remember being like 4 or 5, and we had this leopard print dress with a slit up one of the legs, and it had this gold like piping on the edges. So it was edged in this gold piping stuff. It was really scratchy, but I loved this dress. And then for somehow it just disappeared. I don't know where it went.
Oh, have you got photographic evidence we could share with people?
I wish I did. I wish I did. I mean, there's hardly any pictures of us as kids, actually, because it was expensive, wasn't it? It was expensive to get pictures developed then. It was like 6-7 quid.
Yeah.
So people just didn't take as many pictures as you can now, because you've got, you know, on your smartphone, you can take as many as you like.
Absolutely. So do you remember your first big gig into drag? Was it a journey, or was it a very definitive sort of moment?
I'd done like, so the university that I went to, Vince went to Northern Contemporary, didn't he? Oh, she went to the real one. Oh, she went and did a real dance qualification. And I went to Cornell Sager, which was Manchester Metropolitan, but it was a dance and drama course. And so I'd done stuff like about gender politics, and it's contemporary art. So, you know, you're like naked rolling around in jam, stuff like that.
Nice.
So that was like my background, is that kind of real weird side of stuff. And so I'd done some kind of gender stuff, and then, you know, messing around. Did you swear on this? Okay. So like the term itself is gender fuck. So you're playing with genders, placing them together, things that, you know, ordinarily you wouldn't see. And then after university, I met my now husband, and he was like looking at me as a dancer, earning a pittance. I mean, I was living on £15 a week, you know, to pay for food and anything else. After I'd paid my bills, that was how much I had left. And he was like, look, you're earning no money. Why don't you try drag? You know, because I've got this face, I've got this voice. I was never going to be Jean Valjean, or, you know, that was not in the cards for me. So he was like, why don't you try drag? You could earn some more money. He was lying. Before I earned any kind of money, I'd been doing drag for 10 years at least. Clock's going.
Yeah.
And so really it was him that encouraged me into drag. My first big gig was in North Wales. Where was it? Well, my first gig really was in North Wales in Coed. And it's like a contemporary art happening thing. And I hosted, and then I did a dance piece, and then I got into drag. I mean, I say I got into drag. I put some Collection 2000 powder on my face and a bit of budgie blue eyeshadow and some lipstick that came free in a magazine that my sister gave me, in a borrowed blue cocktail frock and a borrowed feather headdress and some shoes that I stole from my best friend.
Wow.
And some tights, and I'd shaved my legs. And I sang Wiedmung, which is some German leader, and it's very hard, the piano part. And I'd said for weeks, leading up to this, I said, the piano part's really hard. Can I send it to the pianist? And they were like, no, she's amazing. She's amazing. She'll be able to do it. She'll be able to do it. It was like a Morecambe and Wise sketch, when we were actually doing it. She sat down at the piano and she went, I can't play this. What? And I was like, okay, listen, if you can play the first 2 bars of this, and then we'll do it like I'm a diva and you're an incompetent pianist, which I know you're not. I know you're not. And I had tried to get the music to you, but I was promised that you would and I kept saying, it's incredibly hard. They said, no, it'll be fine. So that's what we did. And at the time...
Try to give us a rendition.
It goes, oh my God, my voice. I got very drunk last night. It goes, du meine Seele, du mein Herz, du meine Welt, du mein Schmerz. But the piano part goes, boom, 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 ba, 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 boom, 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 boom. And it you have to have enormous hands to play. You have to have enormous hands because it goes, up and down the piano. So really, really hard. And that was my first drag gig.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And look at you here now. And
I know.
And what I think a lot of queens are known for one particular part of drag. So really good at makeup, really good seamstress, really good comedy performer. But you seem to tick a lot of those boxes. So was that a real conscious effort? Because I think you do tick almost a lot of those boxes. You're a great dancer, you're a great singer, it's
yeah, I mean, it's that thing of, I do a lot of hoofing. I pretend.
Right.
That, oh yeah, I can sell this. That's fine. I can pretend that I'm good at this. And it's, what's the phrase? It's jack of all trades, master of none. But actually, somebody told me that the actual phrase is jack of all trades, master of none, better than master of one. Which I never knew. So, that is actually true, isn't it? It's better to be able to do. You're not great at everything, but you can do a bit of this and a bit of this and a bit of this, rather than just being amazing at that one thing. Yeah. And yeah, it was a conscious decision. It was.
Yeah.
Like the only reason I could already sing. I'd had the most amazing singing teacher. Actually, it was Alison Price-Jones, whose husband, John Price-Jones, set up Opera North and Northern Orchestral Enterprises. And I mean, she's, an international soprano. She was incredible. So she was my singing teacher, and just, oh gosh, the most amazing woman with the most amazing voice. Wow. So as a 15-year-old, this woman turns up at your high school who's, she's traveled the world singing. And then she's going to teach singing in your high school. Wow. Who gets that opportunity? Nobody gets that opportunity. And I mean, there's something about listening to a real opera, and I'm not an opera singer. I sing opera. I'm not an opera singer.
Right. Okay.
And there's something about hearing a real opera singer sing, and you just go, oh, this is the most amazing noise, sound. How are you even doing that with your voice? It's incredible. And that's what it was like, when she would just demonstrate something, you know, she would just be, you know, there's this bit of this song, she would demonstrate, and I would just be like, oh, it's just unbelievable, you know. And so I was really, really lucky to have her as a teacher. So I knew that my singing was, you know, I was going to be all right with the singing. So I went to university to do dance and drama because I knew that my acting was terrible and my dancing was not the one yet. It was terrible.
So you seem like you've had like loads of really positive influences, and I think some people obviously listening will want to know about the RuPaul experience, which we'll come on to. But one question, and people talk about this in different contexts, is drag political? Is it a political act?
Yeah, I think so. Because, I mean, you just have to look at the enormous amount of transphobia in our media. And a lot of the time, the exclusionists are, you know, either why do they have to dress so much like a stereotypical woman, or they don't look like a woman. So if you're a trans person, you can't win in that situation. And for me, gender is a social construct. It's something that we've made up. We've said that women should dress like this and do that, and men should dress like this and do this and do that. And for me, you know, my drag is about saying this is not real. It's not real. What makes me laugh is when I occasionally get the loons on my Twitter feed, and they'll say, "You're doing woman face." Actually, I'm not. This is my face with makeup on.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing woman face. I'm doing my face with makeup on. Actually, what you're doing is telling me that you are rooted in misogyny and that women should look like that. That's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying.
Why do you think, because that's a really good point, but why do you think there seems to be confusion, I'd say, particularly in the UK versus like the States on something like this? Because in the States, you'll go and it's like, that's somebody who would identify as a man dressing up in what might be perceived as women's clothes. Whereas it seems to be sort of confused, or are people using it as a smokescreen for transphobia?
100%. 100% just using it as a smokescreen for transphobia. And like, I get it. A lot of these people are coming at this from a place of trauma. I get that. You know, some of them are just loons. Some of them are coming from a place of trauma, because all you have to do is look at the news. You know, every 3 days, a woman is killed in the UK by a man. So there is a lot of trauma because of the way that our society is grounded. You know, the patriarchy does a lot of damage to a lot of people, and a lot of people don't even realize that. But the thing that, you know, the cognitive dissonance in that is that actually by you excluding trans people, all you're doing is you're reinforcing those ideas of the patriarchy that damage you. You are saying all men are, you know, a problem, and trans people aren't who they say they are. You know?
Yeah, definitely. And patriarchy alongside capitalism, which which aims for complete inequality amongst people. Some people are a few people are going to do really well, a lot of people are going to do crap. And I read something yesterday which didn't surprise me, and this is really sad. And it said that in the last 6 years, 8 crimes against our community collectively have gone up by about 260%, and it's about 400% against the trans community. So that's not inevitable. That's happened because of decisions people have taken. So how much does the system under which we're governed, i.e. Boris, etc., how does that play into what's happening now?
100%. There are real world consequences to, I mean, look, The Guardian, The Mirror, The Mail, The Telegraph, they all put out transphobia, and they have been doing that in a concerted effort for the last 4 or 5 years. So it's not a shock that in the last 4 or 5 years, there has been a huge rise in homophobic and transphobic hate crime. That isn't a shock because they're perpetrating it. They are out there legitimizing these people and saying to the bigots, yeah, it's fine. Go on, go and do that. And when you have people like Liz Truss, Maria Miller, Boris, you know, tank top bum boys, when you have people like that who are actively working against and trying to roll back the rights of queer and trans people, that has real life consequences for people.
And how do we, so with that in mind, and obviously it's really a tricky time for a lot of people in our community, and particularly the trans community, and obviously solidarity with the trans community. What Davina's words of advice for people who might be experiencing struggle now, how do we challenge that? How do we organise for change?
The same way that we did it before, by making groups, by working collectively to push against that. You know, if it's like, if I'm working in satellite and then you're working in satellite, we're not going to be as effective as we are if we can meet up, we can talk about like a plan of action. I mean, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. We're in the middle of a global climate crisis. And we also have one of the most right-wing governments that we've had for a very, very long time. You know, I didn't think it could get worse than Theresa, you know, the woman who sent round vans to places where there's lots of immigrants saying, go home. I didn't think it could get worse than that, to have somebody so brazenly racist in charge. Well, it did, didn't it?
Yeah.
You know, which then makes me terrified for what happens after Bojo leaves, because who do we end up with? Viktor Orban? You know, is that what we end up with? Because this is the way that they are going. And when you have people like Priti Patel, who is a descendant of immigration and is the worst kind of person, you know, I got here through that system, and I'm going to make sure that nobody else can.
Yeah, and she's awful, but I think the message she is.
She's awful.
Yeah, as are all
This is
the
a
other people
public
you mentioned.
service announcement.
but I think the thing I take from that, and obviously it isn't a great time for a lot of people, but the thing you said then about organising, getting together with people, we shouldn't underestimate that, and actually showing solidarity with other people who are struggling is really, really important. So calling out transphobia if you see it, not just accepting it if you see it on a bus, educating yourself and not putting all the onus on the people who are struggling.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it is the same conversation that we were having around Black Lives Matter, that actually putting the onus on Black people to explain racism and how that system works and our role in that system, that's not fair. And it's the same for trans people, it's the same for gay people, it's the same for everybody. You know, minorities are not there to explain their lives to you. Google is this most amazing tool. You have an actual magic wand in your hand, everybody. You can find out anything from that. So before, you know, and there's that advert at the moment, it's okay to ask. And actually it is. Go on Google, do some research, find some stuff out. Like, the world's an amazing place and you can find out incredible things. Go and do it.
So talking about amazing things, obviously something what catapulted you into the public consciousness was the RuPaul's Drag Race experience. Now, obviously, being a northerner myself, just coming from the city next to Big House, obviously I was rooting for you. Queen at North were robbed. So, but how was that experience being in it? Because we see something watching, don't we? What's it really like behind it all?
I like, if I'm fully honest, I was really unwell at the time. You know, like mentally, I was really not in a good place. So when I watch it now, I'm just like, oh God, and I look really unwell, you know? So I think that really coloured the experience for me. I didn't enjoy it at all. And I think because I just wasn't very well. And then also, you know, people who I'd known for a really long time who were in there with me behaved as if we'd never met, which is fine. It's a competition.
You don't have to say it if you don't have to say
I mean, we were in the final
Yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we'd known each other a really long time.
yeah.
I thought we were friends. We weren't friends, and that's okay.
Right, okay.
But that compounded the
Mm.
situation for me. It made it worse.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was, you know.
yeah.
But would I go back and do it again? Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Because, you know, now I get to talk to people like you.
Yeah.
I get to do Chicago. I get to do pantos all over the place, and, you know, things which I never would have been able to do before because I didn't go to Italia Conti or Northern School of Dance. You know, I didn't go there. So I don't have that piece of paper saying she's had this training or whatever. Whereas I kind of cheated and got in through the side door.
Do you know what? You say that, but I think you do yourself a disservice by saying that, because you said earlier about when you're growing up, you know, a bit of a rebel and what have you. And actually, you've not necessarily fitted the mold of what people might expect of a queen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've come in there and you've actually given a platform to other aspiring queens, saying it doesn't need to be done in this sort of corporate capitalist way. It's like you can be yourself, you can bring something a little bit different.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And I, you know, even before Drag Race, I'd had a great time making all kinds of different work. I'd done really commercial, you know, like I say, singing songs about STIs and stuff. And then I'd done pieces with Latin, you know, where we filmed it in Bulgaria. I went and did this filmed piece called Diva. And it was, the composer had just seen me in a nightclub and said, I'd really like to work with you. And I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, there we are. We've recorded it with all of these incredible musicians. And then I'm filming in, was it Bulgaria? It wasn't Bulgaria. It was Bratislava.
Oh, nice.
Bratislava.
Okay.
And we went to Prague. We went into, we went into the Prague National Theatre where they staged Don Giovanni for the first time. They never let anybody on the stage. They never let anybody film in there.
Wow.
They allowed us to.
Wow.
I mean, they would, you know, just things that I'd done loads of crazy stuff, and then loads of, you know, really normal commercial stuff, and then everything in between as well. So I've had, you know, I've been really, really lucky that I've been able to do bits and pieces of everything.
Amazing, amazing. And on the current series of Drag Race UK, what do you think of it? Who would you say is your really favourite? And we'll come on to a point I've got about representation after that.
Yeah, so. When I watch the show, I don't really have a favourite ever.
Right.
Sometimes there's people that you're not so keen on.
Yeah.
But I it's the same for Series 3. I think they're all doing an amazing job. You know, so many of them are kids. You know, they're 19. You know, a lot of these people are 19, 20, you know, 23, 24. So they're kids. And they've managed to scrape all of this stuff together in the middle of a global pandemic. All the shops are shut. You can't go and meet people the way that you normally would do. And they've managed to do that. I mean, that in and of itself is an incredible achievement from every single one of them. And I think they've all done, you know, there's nobody in there that I'm looking at and going, that's a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think everybody's done a really, really good job. And their promo looks and the things that they've done for magazines, and they've been fantastic, really fantastic. So I'm just really enjoying watching them doing it.
Yeah.
Like the first episode, I didn't realize until after it had finished, but I'd sat for the whole thing with a massive smile on my face.
Amazing.
A massive smile on my face, just going, they're all so good.
Yeah.
And it was just so much fun.
Yeah. And a point about Victoria Scone, actually, we know she went out near the beginning, obviously, for a medical issue. But how important were her presence in this series Drag Race as an AFAB queen? What does that say?
Yeah, super important. I mean, I've been really, I'm not very good at shutting the gob. So when people have said, you know, oh, blah, 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 blah. So there was an article that I did with QX magazine where they'd said, you know, representation, da, 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 da. And I said, well, you know what? they say all the time on the show, these are the best queens in the UK. And I said, and that's just not accurate, is it? Because you've got queens like Polestar who win awards every single year because she's so fantastic, who is an AFAB queen, who they wouldn't even let on the show. So it's not accurate. That it isn't representative of our actual drag scene. So to have Victoria on there, who is also just fantastic, like on stage, she is an absolute force, is just brilliant. And she was so funny, she's so likable, she's so warm. I mean, yeah, she is any other AFAB queens who come on the show, those are some big boots to fill because, I mean, she is a real strong queen, like amazing.
Yeah. And it has been nice to see. I've never seen her perform before, and that's something I need to get sorted out. And as important as it is, as you always advocate on behalf of other people, which I do think sets you apart from many other queens, actually, is let's go back to talking about you to round this off. Like,
Luminek.
Yeah. So what have you got coming up? We talked about Chicago, but having a cheeky look on your website last night, and you've got an EP coming out. Is that correct?
That's out already.
Oh, is that out
yeah,
already?
somebody hasn't updated my website, which is
Right.
good of them. That's nice, isn't it? I've got 3 EPs out actually.
Okay, go
So
for it.
my
Tell us about
first
them.
one is Decoded.
Yeah.
Which, because I'm non-binary,
Yeah.
code is binary.
Yeah.
And that's why it's called Decoded.
Amazing.
The second one is one of the singles from that is Gratify. So my second single was Gratify. And so there's an EP with loads of remixes on it. And then I have a Christmas EP called Red and Silver.
Ooh.
It took me a long time to come up with that name as well. Who knew? Yeah, Red and Silver, which is a Christmas EP. I have a song out with Smash B,
Oh yes.
who's a local lad as well from Bradford.
Yeah.
He's great, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Make a Scene, it's called. And I'm working on new music as well. You know, always working on new stuff.
And when can we expect to hear the new music?
Well,
Any exclusives?
yeah, I mean, my diary, this sounds so wanky. My diary is really full. So I don't know when I would be able to get in the studio and record and produce it all. But hopefully there'll be some things soon, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, we may be approaching you soon for other stuff because Bradford is bidding to be UK City of Culture.
Gorgeous, I'm ready.
And we're down for last 8, and I'm confident we're gonna win this competition, and we'll be getting you up there and approaching you when we're ready for some performances.
Ready for that.
Yeah, too right. Well, thank you very much, Divina De Campo, the real Queen of the North. Thanks for your time.
The North remembers.
It certainly bloody does.
Yeah, if you want to follow me, you can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. And it's all Divina De Campo, DIVINADECAMPO.
Welcome everybody to this week's episode of the Rainbow Spotlight. And this week it's all about arts, culture and Christmas. And the race is firmly on to find the next UK City of Culture for 2025. The UK City of Culture is a designation that is offered to a place in the UK to showcase its potential, to highlight the power of culture and arts to transform the lives, communities, and tell the stories of a place that need to be told. 8 places have been longlisted to the UK City of Culture 2025. And one of them places is the place I was born and very proud of, and that is Bradford. And this week, we have 2 powerhouses of the queer and arts sector in Bradford. The delightful, the amazing May McQuaid, Programme and Community Coordinator for Bradford 2025, and the event producer, one and only, Ezra Nash. Welcome, Ezra. Welcome there.
Hi, darling. Yeah, good, thanks.
Oh,
thanks
good,
for having
thanks,
us.
No problem. So, Mayor, can we start with you? So, first of all, why Bradford for UK City Culture 2025?
Because we are ready. Because we've been brewing up to needing some attention and support and love. And I feel like Bradford's got a lot of powers coming together at the moment in the arts sector. I feel like, there's loads of people creating work. There's loads of young people wanting to go out and see stuff. There's loads of opportunities that we can draw on now to do a big pow nationally. So if we get this, it'll give us just a massive bit of like rocket fuel, basically, to go where we're already going, which is to do amazing things in the city. So yeah, I think we're ready.
Yeah. So we're just coming up to just before Christmas right now, and actually, what's the next stage of the process? So with these 8 long-listed cities, if people don't know about it, what can we expect next? And when do we find out?
So we're in the stage of writing. So we've spent a year or more than that really doing lots and lots of consultations and conversations across the district, and they're still carrying on, but really at the moment we're writing now. So the bid's due in early February, which will then have a couple of nervous months to wait, and then we find out if we get shortlisted. If we get shortlisted, we get a visit. I'm really hoping we get there, because I just think when the judges arrive, Bradford speaks better than we could ever write down on paper. So the judges will come, and then Coventry, who are currently City of Culture, end their year in May. So that's when we find out if we get the title next. So in terms of what people can do, we've got really active social media channels where we're kind of talking about what we're up to, but also all the arts and culture, trying to connect it across the district. So follow us online to see what's happening there.
Whereabouts do people follow?
Well, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook is just at BD25. And we've also got a newsletter which you can sign up to, which is on our website. We've also got an office in City Park, so you can come in and say hello and pick up some print. And if anyone wants to get in touch about specific ideas or questions, you can talk to me as well. Shall I leave my email address? Is that put it on the thing?
Bio,
yeah.
People will be able to find us in their communities as well, because we've done quite a few already, road shows where we're just out and about in local community centres or popping up in markets and stuff, talking to people. So there's a few more of those planned as well. People can just come along and speak to us and find out what we're doing.
And how important is that, Ezra, because we're speaking a lot to the community, and you as event producers, so producers people are the people that really make stuff happen, so how important is the work of connecting with communities in Bradford to making stuff happen and making us have a successful bid? How important is that in your work?
I think it's really important. Funnily enough, it doesn't sit that much within my role as producer, because we've got the whole community engagement element, and we've got a community engagement coordinator. But in terms of getting out there and speaking to people, it's paramount to the bid. So I'm quite new in the team, a new addition, but what has previously been done, as May was just saying, like the year beforehand, going out and doing lots of consultation work. So now with this roadshow bit, it's about getting out there and letting people know we're actually bidding, because a lot of people didn't know Bradford was actually bidding to be City of Culture, because of all the background stuff in the beginning bit. It's just about getting that expression of interest in and getting into the long list. And now we can go out and start saying to the community, we're bidding, this is what we're doing, what do you think Bradford needs, and gathering that bit of extra information and a few ideas on to add to what we've already gathered from all the artists around Bradford.
And telling people absolutely how amazing we are. And so moving on a little bit in terms of, because Bradford has a thriving arts and cultural scene. Anybody who lives here, anybody who comes to visit and sees what we do, and how experimental it is and how radical it is, and that's amazing. But in terms of the sort of queer arts sector and its potential in Bradford, what do you think of that, and what is there already? What could we expect to develop? Your thoughts first of all, mate?
I think the queer art sector, like quite a lot of arts and culture that's happening in Bradford, is excellent and is there, but is often run quite in a DIY way, which means like maybe the funds are not there to do fully what people want to see, but also means relies on individuals and personal passion. I think a lot of that happens in the queer sector because it's tied in with identity and with activism. So lots of people do work and put things on and are creative from their heart, and that is really clear in Bradford with some of the events we see, and the way that Pride is different here to other cities. But if we were to get City of Culture, it's it's going to give the queer sector, well, the art sector and the queer artists within that chance to think a bit bigger. So potential for like national and international collaborations, which I think could be really exciting for Bradford, thinking about the communities we've got here, but also just like working more at scale, like connecting even more people into the queer events that are put on. And I think there's some good examples of that happening already. Like I know BPH are supporting New Queers. BPH, our Bradford Producing Hub, they're supporting a project called New Queers on the Block, which partners with the Marlborough Theatre down in London, in Brighton. And there's going to be 6 queer artists working in different places across the country, and Bradford's one of them. So that's a really good example how like a national partnership where you're like working, not like rooted in Bradford, but with others, can like push us and help us grow up, I think, as a sector. Yeah.
Amazing. So Ezra, so if there's a young or older, whatever, aspiring queer creative or artist out there who's sitting at home thinking, I've got this idea, sorry for that my phone, I've got this idea I want to develop, but I don't know where to go with it, because there are a lot of people like that, not in Bradford, but there might be anybody anywhere in the world thinking about this. So what would you say to agitate those queer artists or aspiring queer artists into action?
That's an interesting one. I think if you've got a burning idea that you're carrying, or you've got a project in mind or a piece or whatever it is you want to do as an artist, particularly in Bradford, is to just get on, obviously online first of all, and see what is available, see what's going on. Like May said, Bradford Producing Hub is a great resource, so you can tap into them. They do lots of mentoring, so you can just approach places like that. I think that's the initial thing for a lot of people, is they don't have the confidence in themselves to have that initial approach, but it's actually really easy, you know, just to like message a company or an organization and say, I've got this idea, what do you think? And even if they can't help you, they'll know what's going on in the sector around Bradford to direct you to the right person or link you in. And it's just about that networking and getting your name and voice out there. And hopefully then obviously with the bid, obviously there's no guarantee about what projects and work and stuff people will be able to be involved in, but it's going to bring so much opportunity and resources to the city if we win, that there will be more stuff for people to get involved in and more places to reach out. I think what we're missing at the moment in Bradford is a queer space, like a safe queer space. I mean, there's obviously lots of venues and lots of organisations, but there's not really a queer-led space where people can go and feel comfortable or, you know, have that motivation to make and do work. So that would be great if the bid brought that to the city.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Anybody listening to this wants to get involved, whether you're from Bradford or anywhere in the world, and you want to get involved in this bid, and you've got some ideas you want to share with us, you know, get involved again in the socials. So go to bradford2025.co.uk for more information, and check out our amazing social media pages on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. And we're going to finish this off by talking about one of my favourite things in the year, which is Christmas. So,
Yeah.
Obviously, this is pre-recorded in October.
Not sat outside with a pumpkin sat outside the window.
Yeah, we're drinking this mulled wine in City Park. But I'm going to start off by saying about Christmas and talking about Christmas songs. So I'll give you time to think about what your favourite Christmas song is, but I'm going to just put it out there. I'm going to be typical, I'm going to be camp, and I'm going to just say it's got to be Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas.
No.
Blast it out.
So what are you saying? What do you think about Christmas? What's your favourite song if you had to pick one?
So it just came to mind now. I think I'm going to go Soppy.
Yeah.
You know, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas from that Judy Garland sings in Meet Me in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember I loved Amdram when I was little, and I was in Meet Me in St. Louis, and I was like the little kid, and that song was sung to me, and I feel like it's super magic.
Would you like to give us like a few lines?
No, it was sung to me. I didn't sing it. But yeah, Soppy.
So I have to admit, it's probably not going to go down well, but I'm a bit of a Grinch when it comes to Christmas.
Yeah, okay.
But I love like all the Christmas films and stuff. So I love Home Alone, which I know there's a big debate about whether that is a Christmas film or not, but I think it is. There's that bit where he's like running home and it's like the music gets all like and then there's like the choir starts singing. Like, I love that. That's great.
Amazing. And what do you both do to sort of celebrate Christmas? Because you're both like at it with work all the time, so do you actually relax and
Just have some sherry and cheese.
To be fair, one thing I love about Christmas is all the food and drinking over that period. Yeah, nice to take some time off work and actually have a bit of a break, and not have to be running around doing events and non-stop. You just actually have a bit of a break. I say this.
Although what have we both been involved in?
This what we're doing now is quite inspiring, actually. So, Ezra, just tell us what you'll be doing in and around.
Yeah, well, we've both done it before. I've only been involved for 2 years, and it has been running a bit longer than that, hasn't it?
In Bradford only too, though.
In Bradford
What
only.
is it? What is it?
And it's called the Bradford Christmas Dinner.
Right.
So they do one in Leeds as well, and I think there was inspiration from Leeds, and it came over to Bradford. And it's for young people in Bradford that are either in care or have left care. And pre-COVID, we did physical events where they'd come and have big Christmas dinner, lots of presents, and there's lots of sponsors and businesses and companies around Bradford involved who help run the event, and loads of volunteers and the social services. And it's just an amazing day, an amazing event. Just try and get people together. Obviously, last year with COVID, we couldn't do it, so we drove around and delivered food from Mile of Horse. Am I allowed to say that? Other restaurants are available. So yeah, Mile of Horse supplied all the food, and we took takeaway out to all the kids, and yeah, it was just lovely.
And the year before we had it at the Deaf Centre, and we went in and it was like just this function room, and then the day before on Christmas Eve, all the volunteers were there setting up, and we went for like a Frozen theme. So it was like all white and fairy lights, and it was lush. It was really special. And then sat around long tables, just feeling like, this is family too.
I remember one of the young people involved once just saying like they've never had a sack full of Christmas presents before, and it was the first time that someone had ever just given them a sack. They were really overwhelmed, like just by the amount of gifts that were in there. And that is, again, just from all the donations we get from people around Bradford, not just businesses. Obviously, lots of people donate their own money as well. And then the Broadway have been involved previously as well and donated like gift cards and stuff. So yeah, it's just amazing.
So a worthwhile time, whilst we all enjoy it, think about other people. This is a message here, a lot of people are still struggling, so reach out. But May, the amazing May McQuaid.
Oh, I love you, Richard.
And the one and only. Thank you so much for coming on Rainbow Conversations, and big up Bradford 2025. 2025. People listening, this is a city who should be awarded the designation of UK City Culture 2025.
Yeah, we should.
Get involved, people. Say Happy Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, to one and all.
Well, what an amazing episode that was, people. Thank you all for tuning in and supporting this podcast so far. Massive thank you to Ezra and May from the Bradford 2025 team. A massive big up to Bradford in their bid to be UK City of Culture. And also a massive thank you to the amazing, the delightful Divina De Campo. And it would only be right in this Christmas episode that we played you out with one of Divina's tracks. So here it is, people, with the 12 Days of Dragmas, Divina De Campo. Happy Christmas, everybody. Have a good one. See you in 2022.
On the first day of Dragmas, Michael John gave to me a pink badge from BBC Three. On the second day of Dragmas, Michael John gave to me 2 bouncing boobies and a pin badge from BBC Three. On the third day of Dragmas, Michael John gave to me 3 heaving handbags, 2 bouncing boobies and a pin badge from BBC Three. On the 4th day of Dragmas, Michael John gave to me 4 silver dresses, 3 heaving handbags, 2 bouncing boobies and a pin badge from BBC Three. On the 5th day of Dragmas, Michael John gave to me 5 bright red wigs. of drag, Miss Michael John gave to me 6 bottles of Botox, 5 bright red wigs, 4 silver dresses, 3 evening handbags, 2 bouncing movies, and a big match from BBC 3. On the 7th day of drag, Miss Michael John gave to me 7 stacking lashes, 6 bottles of Botox, 5 bright red wigs, 4 silver dresses, 3 evening handbags, 2 bouncing movies, and a big match from BBC 3. On the 8th day of drag, Miss Michael John gave to me 8 tons of glitter, 7 stacking lashes, 6 bottles of Botox, 5 bright red wigs, 4 silver dresses, 3 evening handbags, 2 bouncing movies, and a big match from BBC 3. On the 9th day of drag, Miss Michael John gave to me 9 veiled death drops, 8 tons of glitter, 7 stacking lashes, 6 bottles of Botox, 5 bright red wigs, 4 silver dresses, 3 evening handbags, 2 bouncing movies, and a big match from BBC 3. On the 10th day of drag, Miss Michael John gave to me 10 devious drag queens, 9 veiled death drops, 8 tons of glitter, 7 stacking lashes, 6 bottles of Botox, 5 bright red wigs, 4 silver dresses, 3 evening handbags, 2 bouncing movies, and a big match from BBC 3. On the 11th day of drag, Miss Michael John gave to me 11 million mentions, 10 devious drag queens, 9 veiled death drops, 8 tons of glitter, 7 stacking lashes, 6 bottles of Botox, 5 bright red wigs, 4 silver dresses, 3 evening handbags, 2 bouncing movies, and a big match from BBC 3. On the 12th day of drag, Miss Michael John gave to me 12 booked and blessed ones, 11 million mentions, 10 devious drag queens, 9 veiled death drops, 8 tons of glitter, 7 stacking lashes, 6 bottles of Botox, 5 bright red wigs, 4 silver dresses, 3 evening handbags, 2 bouncing movies, and a big match from BBC 3.